I'm Richard Orford and you're watching The Real. Today I'm slap bang in the middle of one of the world's great cities. It's creative, it's dynamic, it's cosmopolitan. It's where East meets West in 21st century Europe. Once a city divided, the walls have since come tumbling down, and today it's been rebuilt. And word on the street has it that this is the next property investment hotspot. And I've come to find out why. Willkommen to Berlin.
First up, check out the number of visitors to the city. Last year saw a record-breaking 5 million tourists, so it's no wonder that Berlin's property market is growing too.
And who wouldn't want to walk in the footsteps of Marlene Dietrich, Sir Norman Foster and David Hasselhoff? All right, maybe not the Hofmeister, but you get the picture. Berlin always has been and always will be a cutting-edge, vibrant and thriving city. Ooh. Now, Berlin is a world city that's big enough to compete with London, New York and Barcelona. There are so many exciting things to do here, 365 days of the year. Now, take a look around you in the meantime. Green space, loads of it. In fact, 30% of the city centre is covered in it, so it's a cinch to go picnicking, strolling or people watching right in the heart of the city. Better.
Now, London has the Thames, Dublin has the Liffey, but it was complete news to me that Berlin's got its very own river, the River Spree.
And did you know just exactly how many galleries and museums there are in Berlin? In 2006 alone, 11.4 million people visited everything from the Checkpoint Charlie Museum to this, the Erotic Museum.
As for the other 174 centres of culture, well, they're not quite so specialist, but you'll never be short of amazing things to do or see. And getting to Berlin for a property hunt is easy. It's less than 2 hours by air from the UK and Ireland, flying direct from any number of airports. A taxi from one of the 3 Berlin airports averages €20 and the bus €2.
Now, Berlin is one of the greenest cities in the world. There are trees everywhere, the streets are lined with them. How many? I don't know, but I've got a couple of hours to kill, so let's find out, shall we? 1, 2, 3, 397,462, 390, oh, Frankfurter. Oh, I'm cream crackered. Well, finally found the answer. 400,000 trees in Berlin. How do I know this? Well, after several hundred attempts and several hundred times of losing count, I finally discovered the answer had been on page 1 of the tour guide all along. But here's a top tip. If you want to see the city like a true Berliner would without some embarrassing tour guide droning on at you on one of those open-top buses, then all you got to do is catch the 100, which pops along every few minutes and takes in all the major sites, including the Brandenburg Gate, the TV Tower and the cathedral as well. And it only costs you €2.10. It's an absolute snip. Next stop, Brandenburg Gate.
Getting around's easy. There's the Underground, U-Bahn, Overground, the S-Bahn and tons of buses.
Now, if ever a country had an image problem, it's Germany. Let's be honest about this, you can't be the baddie in 2 world wars and then expect to win any popularity contest. Having said all of that, the end of the Second World War was well over 60 years ago now, and as you can see these days, people are literally queuing up to get a piece of Berlin. Why? Well, let's ask Natasha from the tourist board. So how have tourist attitudes changed towards Berlin over the past few decades?
Well, before the 90s, before the wall had fallen in '89, Berlin used to be the city with a wall. But now it's something completely different because Berlin is one of the trendiest cities in Europe now.
So what would be your top tips for tourists?
One top tip would be to get our Berlin welcome card, and it's everything included, like public transportation, and you get all kinds of price reductions on approximately 150 different things you can do in Berlin.
So if you come here on a short-term break, what would you say are the top places you must go and see?
Well, they should by all means go to the city center, go to the Reichstag. Close to here is the Brandenburg Gate. Then they should walk down the famous street Unter den Linden, see the famous Museum Island, and then I would recommend them to make a beautiful boat trip.
But it's not just the future of tourism that looks good. Looking around the city, the economy is also booming and the property market has never been more exciting. But it's not always been that way, and when you visit Berlin, there's still one thing niggling in the back of your mind, and that's history. Now, the name Berlin comes from the Slav word Berl, meaning swamp, and that's because the city was built on marshes which were drained in the 12th century by Germanic tribes. And it's said today that if you dig a hole anywhere in the city, it'll fill with water. Nobody, though, could have foreseen that Berlin would be at the heart of European history for the next 800 years.
From the Holy Roman Empire to the Reformation, and from Frederick the Great to Kaiser Bill, Berlin's past is as exciting and vibrant as Berlin's present.
Then came the Great War of 1914 to 1918, and the rest, as they say, is history. One place that certainly changed with the city is the Olympic Stadium, scene of controversy in 1936, but scene of triumph in 2006. Oh yes. Oh, baby. Excellent. Hey, what? Sorry.
To get the inside track on the stadium, I met up with tour guide Tim Varnholz.
Tim, tell us all about this stadium. It's a magnificent building.
Yeah, the stadium was built for the Summer Olympics of 1936. It was the largest stadium when it was completed in August 36 with 100,000 spectators.
Tell me what happens in this place today.
Today, Olympic Stadium is the home stadium of Hertha BSC, Berlin's major football team. We also have an American football team here, the Berlin Thunder. We have concerts, of course, mostly the big names are here who are able to fill the stadium.
Like who? Who have you had here?
Rolling Stones, just after World Cup.
They're older than the stadium, aren't they?
You can see the stadium individually by turning up on non-event days, but guided tours are definitely the gold medal option, as you get to see behind the scenes, including the warm-up hall, changing rooms and VIP areas. Cool.
Tell you what, Tim, a few famous faces have sat up here in their time.
Yeah, for example, during the World Cup last summer. And the first seat we had the Chancellor, German Chancellor, and you are seated where Sepp Blatter, president of the FIFA, was, and I'm sitting, I think, on the place of Franz Beckenbauer. And a very different Chancellor used the balcony over there.
Who was that then?
This was Hitler's balcony, and this is where Hitler held his speeches during the party rallies which were held here in the Olympic Stadium, and of course where he declared open the Olympic Games in 1936. And the Olympic Stadium was used for the World Cup last summer, and I think this shows both the history and the modern Germany.
It was touch and go whether the stadium would get bulldozed after the war, but now this epic building is more or less the only surviving example of Third Reich architecture.
But what's interesting is, in modern-day Berlin, that there's little reminder to the naked eye that it happened. Gone is Hitler's bunker, and gone pretty much is the Berlin Wall. All you've got left now is little slabs of graffiti like this that the tourists take photos of. Right here, where I'm standing 20 years ago, was no man's land. These days, it's every man's land. You've got tourists, you've got money pouring in, and amazing modern-day buildings like that. In short, Berlin has moved on.
There are even moves to strip Austrian-born Hitler of his German citizenship. A real kick in the Goebbels. Now, if there's one thing in Berlin that everyone's proud of, it's the Brandenburg Gate.
Many famous speeches have taken place here. For example, in 1987, Ronald Reagan stood on this very spot and went, "Oi, Gorbachev, tear down this wall." And in 1963, John F. Kennedy stood here and announced to the world, "Ich bin ein Berliner," which was somewhat unfortunate because a Berliner is also one of these. So to many people, what he was saying was, "I am a donut." Oh! Donuts.
And while we're on the subject, the city's also home to the oldest chocolate house in the world, Fassbender and Rausch, where I met Stefan.
Well, Stefan, looking around Berlin, I noticed there's lots of chocolate, lots of cafes, and lots of restaurants. But what you've done here is combine all three together in one place.
That's right, and this was not quite so easy because we are based here on chocolate. All the things what we're doing has something to do with chocolate.
So if you come to visit here, what can you see?
When you come in the shop, it's not like shopping, it's like you're coming on a temple, you're coming here.
You don't have to sell it to me. I was like slavering the moment I walked in. Those models as well that you've got are amazing.
We have a chocolate here, and he built all these models, and also upstairs here in the restaurant, our idea is fine dining together with chocolate.
And you've got a selection here to show us, starting off with the soup here.
This is a celery soup.
Yeah.
It's made in the celery roots with chocolate, with dark chocolate. I'm using just fine flavored chocolate.
Celery soup with chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh, that is lovely. That is really. That's like having your starter and your dessert all at once.
It's my favorite.
A real taste sensation. That's your favourite. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Okay, what about this one here?
This is fish with lemongrass sauce with white chocolate.
Is that caviar there?
Exactly.
And chocolate blobs.
Yeah.
Different. I prefer the soup, I have to say. What about this one here?
And
is
here,
this lamb?
Yeah.
You got
have
lamb and chocolate now.
With dark.
You crazy fool. All right, let's give this a go. And oh, love that. Going to buy that one. Thank you very much. I would have a dessert, but I think it might be a bit too savoury for me, so I'm going to stick with the soup and the main course. Thank you very much. If you want to head off now, I've got this covered. Thanks. See you later. Now, if you're coming to Berlin, don't leave home without these facts. First of all, leave out the Basil Fawlty impressions. Even as a joke, the Nazi symbols like the swastika and the salute and the funny walk just don't cut it around here. It's going to land you in hot water, and by hot water, I mean the Nick. Moving on, if you're a bit strapped for cash or you're generally a bit of a tight wad, then Thursday afternoons are for you because all the state-owned galleries and museums are completely free of charge. Ka-ching! Most shops and restaurants don't take credit cards, bizarrely enough, so if you're planning to go to a restaurant for dinner and you're hoping that your flexible friend will pay for it, then phone ahead to the restaurant first and check. You'll find that most restaurants have English-speaking staff. And finally, it's known as Boozy Berlin. It's a late-night city, so don't go to dinner before 8 o'clock, and just be aware that there is no closing time, so you really can go for it. I wonder if the budget will stretch to an all-dayer. Oh, thanks a lot, Mr. Producer. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Take that as a no, then. It's me. Brilliant disguise, eh? Join me after the break when I'll be pulling back the old Iron Curtain and sneaking into East Berlin. Nothing's going to stop me now. Except for perhaps that big burly American security guard with the really, really big flag. Impressive, though, isn't it? Morning, sir. So, join me, 1000 hours, Cafe Mozart. I'll be wearing a red carnation, you'll be wearing a pretty dress. Mom's the word, see you on the other side of the break. And remember, the eagle has landed. Shh.